Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sassy True Crime. I'm Kat, and we're gathered here today to discuss the Sarah Boone Suitcase case. The jury's been selected, and opening statements are set to begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. But there was a very interesting development today at the motions hearing that I wanted to share. But before I do, if you're not familiar with this case, let me bring you up to speed. Sarah Boone was arrested back in February 2020 and later charged with second-degree murder of her boyfriend, Jorge Torres. Boone pleaded not guilty and claimed that her and George were just playing a game of hide and seek. It was a good night. George got in a suitcase, and then Sarah fell asleep. And when she woke up the next day, George was still in the suitcase, and he was deceased. But once detectives downloaded Sarah's phone, a different version of events unfolded. It wasn't the fun game of hide and seek that Sarah had described. Trigger warning, this video is disturbing.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't fucking breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. Might want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you string on me.
Sarah.
Fuck you.
Fucking breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
Jorge Torres died that day by suffocating in that suitcase. But the autopsy showed other injuries, like scratches on his back and neck, contusions to his shoulder, skull, and forehead, along with a cut near his busted lip. How had George gotten all these other injuries? That's what detectives asked Sarah Boone in this police interview. Let's see what she said back in 2020.
This morning we went to his autopsy, and we were informed of some injuries that he has by the doctor. So so he's got scratch marks to his back.
I know what that's from.
Okay. And it's called a contusion. Do you know what a contusion is? So like basically you're getting hit and then you get a mark from it. You'll get bruising. Like someone hit you or something like that. It's called a contusion. So he had some injuries to his left shoulder. He had a cut near his lip. We could see his mouth was a little.
I haven't laid a hand on him.
Okay.
Also, too, he fell off my son's bike,
Okay.
so I don't know. And he's notorious for running into the wall or the hall tree. So
Okay.
I
What about the scratches? Because
Sex.
there's also sex.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's also like a scratch on the back of his neck, kind of going, but it's going straight across.
I have no idea what that's from.
And they're all recent, like they occurred recently. It wasn't something that occurred post or that occurred a week ago or 2 days ago, 3 days ago. They definitely occurred, the night leading up to when he was.
In all honesty, we have not gotten into it.
Okay.
That's why, like, the only thing I thought you guys were gonna ask me about, which I was gonna be honest with you anyway, are the scratch marks on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I have no idea what it is. No idea what it is. Nonetheless, I've had my son over the house too, so.
Well, your son was there when? When was he last there?
Oh, gosh.
From my understanding, he was there like last Tuesday?
I don't know if it was Tuesday, but yes, he was there last week, so.
Well, we're talking about Sunday.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what occurred Sunday. Because like I said, the injuries they occurred within that time period.
So you're talking about day before yesterday?
Sunday leading into Monday. You called us yesterday at 1, but the incident, you guys were painting and stuff the night prior.
Correct.
So we're talking about Sunday and then
That's
into
why
Monday.
I'm thoroughly confused, because we had a good time sitting on the back porch, having wine and smoking a couple of cigarettes, and then decided to go inside and literally paint, do puzzles, and play, and listen to music. That's why nobody got out of sorts. This is what's mind-blowing to me. Like, I have no clue. Nobody laid a hand on anybody.
He also had, like on the left side of his forehead, he had basically bruising, and on like his head and his skull.
I have no idea.
As if something hit him. Like
I
considered
have not
force
touched him.
trauma.
I have not touched him. I have not touched him.
Then how would you get those injuries?
Tell me and we'll both know. I have not touched him.
Yesterday, when we took photographs of your overall body, and they did the buccal swabs, did they go under your fingernails?
No.
Okay, are you willing to let us
Absolutely.
swab underneath your fingernails?
Go for it.
Okay.
I have no idea, and I don't want to seem out of sorts, but I have no idea. We had a good day. It was a good day. We've had good days lately, even considering everything that's going on with our jobs and life in general and ex-wives and everything. It's been good.
So Sarah has no idea how George got any of the bruises or cuts on his body. According to her, they've been good. It's all rainbows and butterflies. No one got out of sorts, and nobody laid a hand on anybody. So that was back in 2020. Sarah had no idea about any injuries that George may have had. But at today's motion hearing, we heard a different story from the prosecution. A story that explains how George may have received all those injuries. Trigger warning. Details may be disturbing.
Mr. Owens, Mr. Cacciatore, myself, and Dr. Werner all sat together within 5 feet of Sarah Boone the first week of October and heard the final version. It's not very dissimilar from the version of Dr. Harper, but Dr. Werner's deposition was provided to the court previously for our motion to eliminate. I don't understand the position they're taking that they were forced to show their cards when Dave Cacciatore and myself and Mr. Owens and Dr. Werner were all there together to hear her version. And her version is, it was all fun and games. It was Sunday fun day. He gets into the suitcase. We're all laughing. I zip it shut. We're still laughing. There comes a point in time when he says, I can't breathe. This triggers her based on her past abuse, no overt act that day. And she begins violently doing the things to the suitcase that she says she did, whacking him with the baseball bat on his fingers. And now, after being the initial aggressor, now after having committed a forcible felony or two, now after having put Mr. Torres in a reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm, she says, well, she realizes now if he gets out after these things that I've done to him, I'm in big trouble. And it's my understanding that we have had this discussion, and that if that is the proffered testimony, that is not going to amount to an overt act, which will allow for reputation evidence, past incidents of violence, or the battered spouse syndrome evidence. That they weren't forced to show their hand. I was there. The rules of criminal procedure allowed me and Mr. Cacciatore to be there and to witness this evaluation. So that being said, we're not abusing the system. We're not doing anything that we're not allowed to do. And we're making every effort to make sure that we understand how this trial is going to go down, and how they, and Ms. Boone understands how the trial is going to go down. Because my understanding of how it's going to go down is she's going to have to testify to the specific events of that day. And right up when she comes to the point to saying, and when he said, I can't breathe, the state attorney, Mr. J, is going to object. He's going to ask to approach. He's going to say, Judge, there's been no change in her testimony. Unless there is, then that's a whole different bag of worms. But if there's been no change in her testimony, Judge, we got a ruling prior to this that there's been no overt act testified to. Now we're going to object to her answer of because of the past violence, and we're going to object to any further attempt to bring in prior violence, reputation evidence, or battered spouse evidence. I just want everybody to be clear and on the same page about that. Now, in regards to their request, a renewed request for a statement of particulars, they've had the discovery for several years. This is the state's case. A video that starts at 11:12:45 p.m. on 2/23/2020. Sarah, for everything you've done to me. Sarah, for everything you've done to me. Sarah, F you, laughter. Sarah, F you, laughter. Sarah, stupid. Sarah, that's my name. Don't wear it out. Sarah, I can't effing breathe, baby. Seriously. Yeah, that's what you do when you choke me. Sarah, 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 laughter. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe. Laughter. That's on you. Sarah, I can't breathe. Laughter. That's on you. Sarah, unintelligible, drunken, slurred words. Laughter. Sarah, 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 I can't breathe, baby. That's what I feel like when you cheat on me. Sarah, F you. I can't effing breathe, Sarah. You should probably shut the F up. Sarah. Shh. That's our case. That is an evinced, depraved mind, conscious disregard for whether he lives or dies, whether she put him in there or not. She let him remain for 2 minutes during that video. And then at 11:23:03 p.m., there's another 22-second video, and it just zooms in on the suitcase. Sarah. So that is a second-degree murder case when the medical examiner comes in and says, Jorge Torres, George Torres, died from positional asphyxiation and the asphyxiation from being in a confined space. And eventually, after Lord knows how many breaths, he expired in that suitcase when she went upstairs and went to bed. But in addition to those statements, we now have her new statements, which are she intentionally violently shook the suitcase, threw it upside down, hit him with a bat, committed independent forcible felonies. And that's going to be corroborated by the medical examiner's testimony to all the blunt force trauma to both sides of his face and his mouth. That is a second-degree murder case. That is what we're going to be presenting. This is a portion of what I will be telling the jury this afternoon.
And that, my friends, will be the state's case against Sarah Boone. I think it's an open and shut case, but we shall see. Opening statements tomorrow, October 18th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till next time, stay sassy.